so excited. Part 2, going deeper.
Two.
And I want to send you some of this. Speaking of going deeper, I'm going to send you some of this Regenerate. I talk about it
What is
all
it?
the time. My friend who looks like Jesus made it. It is a combination of all of these supplements like ashwagandha, niacin, OTNAC that gets GABA to your brain fast. And GABA is the anxiety police. And it will, the greatest thing is you can start taking GABA for anxiety or anything. It's because, I mean, talking about vaginas can give people anxiety. No joke. I mean, let's be honest. Or going deep. And to get out of your head, this will put you in your parasympathetic nervous system.
Nice.
Imagine. And so you also might really would like this, I think. I'm curious when you try it. It'll get you hot. Like, so when you first, like a half a teaspoon for the GABA to get to your brain fast, you'll get hot, which is why I like to do this before the sexy time. Because like you get this wave of heat for about 10-15 minutes, and then you get clear. Like there's this clear calmness that comes from being in your parasympathetic nervous system. Imagine. But you're not high. I think it feels like it's high, but the guy that made it, my friend Sean, he's like, Angela, it doesn't feel high. It's just your baseline needs to be parasympathetic. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been in like survival mode, like da-da-da-da. Like so now when I'm centered and calm and like clear and focused and feeling good, and you get your body, mind, and spirit,
Mm.
then comes back to you and really like looking at yourself again. Like each time I've seen, like as people heal from child sexual trauma, you got to look at yourself, and then you go through the phases of hating it, I think, and it's ugly. Don't You've said it last, you've already said it, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm sorry, you have to look at that,
Mm-hmm.
into wow, you get to look at that. Lucky you.
Exactly. I would say
sign
that to
the
women.
sign the
I
guest book,
get to
right?
do this.
Right.
I get to be here. I get to look at this. I get to help you learn how to take better care of yourself. Or when I was a midwife, I get to be here at this birth, especially when, women would call in the middle of the night, wake you up. They'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, nothing to
Right.
apologize for. I'm getting to go to your birth. This is awesome.
So
Yeah,
how can we be super energetic and loving and joyful with women's parts? For the women and for the men.
exactly. For anyone who owns the equipment, I like to say, or anyone who likes to visit.
Yeah, exactly. If you're visiting.
Right. And um, for men who only partner with other men, it's true that the anatomy is not going to be that relevant for them, but all the other stuff about how to have awesome sex, all the tools that we have and how to use them, all that is super useful for everybody, no matter what kind of equipment you have.
Mm-hmm. This
Yeah.
is your bedroom Bible. Just
Well, and that's my
open it to
first
any
book,
spot.
and that's the one that's really about women. But the second one, Succulent Sexcraft, that one is for everybody, whatever you're plumbing, single partnered, whatever, how to have awesome sex. So that's
I
useful
love it.
too.
So where do we start now that we've dressed all of our
Oh,
trauma and we've healed
well,
ourselves? What
I have got a little presentation for you. Include some of that stuff.
I love it. We're alone. Nobody's watching. We ain't gonna get canceled or shut down. Say what you want.
Well, there's no guarantees. Somebody is going to be upset. I made the mistake the other day. Carl was telling
Oh
me,
no.
saying something about one of the reviews, and my books overwhelmingly have fabulous reviews, but there's always going to be some people who are unhappy.
Yeah.
And I hardly ever look at the reviews because I don't need to see that. But the other day I looked,
Oh no.
and so there's somebody who, I when I had the audio version of my book, and they were going, "Oh, she sounds so smug, so condescending," and I thought, "Huh, well."
Oh.
You can't please everybody. There's another one in there where you like, because she uses the F word.
Ooh.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
dare we use that while we're talking
Oh,
about
oh
the
my gosh. The horror. Anyway, you can't make everybody happy. Most people are pretty happy about the book, but
thank
there's always
God you'd
going to
be
be
awfully
people.
sore.
Hmm.
If you made everybody happy, you'd be awfully sore. That was me throwing in a joke. Meow! Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah, I don't think you would be happy, honestly. So, I have a little presentation, and this is it's like a little tidbit of a larger class.
Mm,
So I'm going to give you a little tidbit of a larger class, and and at some point, if people want to know more, they get the book or they get the online course
oh
or
yeah,
whatever. But this is a little hors d'oeuvre, a little appetizer.
I love it.
Okay, so you need to make me, am I a co-presenter already?
Let me do it. Multiple participants,
Because
advanced
I need to
sharing,
share my screen.
multiple participants. You may.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Show us
share my
something. I
screen.
love it. I shove you down boys' throats, Sherry. Ah.
There's a
You're
nice metaphor.
welcome.
Okay, well, sometimes I'm on the other end of that. I have more experience being on the other end, but okay. All right. So, can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So these are just like some tidbits from a much longer presentation, but this is sort of
Love it.
the the most important highlights of that class. And when I'm done showing you these, we'll go to the Pussy Pillow and have a little review. So the first thing I really want to just ask is whether we do have an accurate map of women's sexuality and female genital anatomy. This is Da Vinci from
Yeah.
over 500 years ago, and he did a
Mm,
pretty good job on the penis.
I'll
See
say.
the penis inside the vagina, and then there's the uterus. But beyond that, see how they thought the uterus was directly connected to
Oh
the
yeah.
nipple, when it actually neurologically is connected, so he wasn't too far off. But we don't have an accurate map of female genital anatomy, and that's crazy, right? What century are we in? It's hard to tell right now with
Yeah,
the
right.
crazy laws that they're trying to pass. Um,
What you
uh,
talking about?
right?
Mm,
Um, but we are in the 21st century, and we really should know this information, but we don't. So without going into the whole story, which is fascinating, honestly, the question becomes, what's missing from this picture? What don't we know? Well, I'll tell you what never got lost, what never disappeared, were any structures that were considered purely reproductive. Every anatomy image you will ever see has a uterus. The uterus is
interesting.
always there because they consider that purely reproductive. That's wrong. We're not really going to talk about it in this short version of the class. The longer version, I talk about how that's just not true, because the uterus is actually a player in arousal and orgasm, but they don't know that. But that is
Wow.
always there. But what did get lost along
Whoa.
the way were
I'll
most of the
say.
parts responsible for arousal and orgasm.
All right.
And again, there's a whole historical arc about ideas about women and culture and sexuality, which we're not going into right here. But what it led to was genital censorship. There actually were parts that were specifically covered up and left out. Um, and then some of the things were just ignored. Female bodies just aren't paid attention to by science. It's still the case. We still have much more money and research that goes into diseases that affect men than women. And we still have a lot of drugs and procedures tested only on male bodies. And shocker, female bodies are different. So this is a problem we still have, that just the female body is ignored. Some things just seem to get lost. They were in an anatomy book a couple hundred years ago.
Great. Like the Bible? What are you talking about?
They just got lost. They just were in one version of the book, and the next version of the book, it's gone. Just gone. We don't know why.
Weird. I wonder why.
Oh, it's a whole story. I could tell you why some of that got lost. But the other problem we have is when they get things wrong. When they think it's a certain way and they put it in the book and they teach the next generation of doctors and anatomists, and they just keep learning the wrong thing. And then they just believe it's true because that's what you learned in school.
Oh.
And so we have what I call genital amnesia. And I don't mean that people lost interest in the genitals. They're still utterly fascinated. You can
The
just go
picture's awesome.
online and check out the billions of searches for porn.
Oh my God.
Um,
Yeah.
But what we don't know or we forgot is what's actually there. And I just have to comment on this image because it
Yeah,
pains me. Um, that happy glazed look on her face, I think might have more to do with that urn full of penises,
exactly.
right? Rather
That
than
was
the
me.
leering men. Okay. Okay. I love
Oh,
vintage erotica because it is so idiosyncratic
really
and
funny.
weird and funny. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
awesome.
here's the key to this little mini class, which is I don't want you to believe me. I know I'm the expert. I got all those initials after my name, right? I'm a certified nurse, midwife, gynecology practitioner, registered nurse, licensed massage therapist, certified childbirth educator, and artist for overcast birth and author. But I
Yeah.
still don't want you to believe me because what's most important is that you become your own expert. So I
Yep.
really want to encourage women to go on their own tour and
For real.
find everything I'm talking about. Because once you see it and feel it and experience it in your own body, or if you don't have the equipment, you'll need a lab partner for this exercise. But once you see it, you'll know it's true. And then when you have experts and medical people telling you, oh, no, no, you don't have that, you can go, oh, yeah, I do. I know I do. So
Watch.
I want you to become your own expert. It means you've got to go on a tour. You've got to
Oh,
check it
wow.
all out.
Look at it.
And here's the thing. So you do have homework, but it's not work, it's play. You have a home play assignment because in order to find and feel everything, you're going to have to check it out at different stages of arousal. So you're going to check everything out when you're not turned on at all. You're going to look, you're going to feel, then you're going to play with yourself and get medium turned on, medium aroused, check it all out again, play with yourself some more and get really turned on,
Take
almost having
pictures.
work, right? Almost orgasmic and check it out again. And then,
Excellent.
okay, that's your home play assignment.
Okay.
Okay, now we're just getting a tiny bit of this tour. We're not going to cover everything. Um, By the way, this is about the loss of virginity. This is when they believe the hymen was like this barrier that you had to bust through with a hammer and a scissors.
They made it so scary, that whole Hyman
I
story.
know it's just not even true at all.
I was
It's just
always so
a total
scared
myth.
of that.
I know, such a myth. Okay. Meanwhile, we're going to the bones. We're going to the pelvis. We're looking at the from the front.
The
Now we're going to flip
bones.
it up and looking up at the bottom of the bones. And what we see if we took away the skin and the fatty tissue, we would see that we have pelvic floor muscles, multiple muscles, not just one. Everything on there that's red is the superficial or outermost layer. And then we've got deep layers, which are like sheets of muscles, and those are the yellow and orangey muscles. So those are our pelvic floor muscles. Oh, detour. I know. We were just getting to the good stuff,
You're
weren't we?
funny.
And all of a sudden,
Oh
oh my
boy.
gosh, there's penises ahead.
Ah!
Okay, warning, caution.
Excellent. My
I
favorite
don't
part.
want anybody to be shocked or appalled,
Love
but
it.
penises, there
Oh.
they are. And they're
A
okay.
picture.
They are kind of magical, aren't they? I mean, it's a pretty impressive thing that a penis can do. It can go from being really small and soft, and it can get big and hard because
That's
it went to the
hilarious.
penis hospice
Oh my God,
and it
that's
got
funny.
treated with the flying vulvas and the penis doorknob. Okay.
Oh my
All right,
God.
but this is what penises can do. And it is impressive, isn't it? I'm still impressed every time it happens. How does it do that? What is this magic penis mushroom thing? Well, one theory is that French women sneak in at night with a pump.
That's
What do you
awesome.
think, Angela? You
That's
buying that?
awesome. Oui, mais oui, hein?
Maybe. No? Okay. All right.
Man,
Actually, penises can do that because they are made of a specialized bodily tissue, conveniently enough, called erectile tissue.
God bless
What's
them.
that? Well, it's part of the circulatory system. The capillaries, those are the tiniest veins. And there are networks of capillaries. And the capillaries are special because they're the tiniest blood vessels and their wall is only 1 cell thick. And that means exchange can take place. The capillary can deliver nutrients and oxygen to the cell. It can take out the cell's garbage. It can take any products the cell makes and deliver it other places. So because of the single cell wall, exchange can take place. So that's what regular capillaries are. But what about erectile capillaries? See, Mother Nature, she's all about reduce, reuse, recycle. She had all these capillaries lying around. She's like, oh, we can use those. Let's use those. We'll just embroider them a little bit. We'll make them special. What's special about erectile capillaries is they have little structures that act like one-way valves. So the blood doesn't just flow through. Those little valve-like structures can close, and what happens to the blood? It gets trapped. And what happens to the capillary? It becomes engorged. There's our regular erectile network of capillaries, non-engorged. And here's what they would look like after all that blood gets trapped in there.
Nice.
So that is engorgement. It's like a water balloon filling up, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
God,
So
awesome.
here's the $1 million message. This is the most important thing you're going to get from this today. And that is every female has an erector set of her own.
Oh yeah.
Pound for pound, inch for inch.
That's a pretty
Female
many.
bodies and male bodies have the same amount of erectile equipment. And
Oh.
this is one of the things people don't get. You know, I remember I was very lucky. I had the kind of mom who brought home Our Bodies Ourselves, the book, when I was like 12, and I read it
I
cover
remember
to
that
cover.
book.
But I remember, so I actually went to the genitals first because I was really interested. And I remember looking at my anatomy and going, oh, clitoris, that's what that is, because I had found it. I didn't know what the name was. And then I thought, oh, that's cool. And then I looked at the penis. Like, hadn't really met one up close and personal yet. And I looked at the penis and I remember thinking, wow, they get a lot more stuff than I do. No, 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 no. We have the same amount of stuff. It's just arranged differently. Uh-huh. So, well, let me introduce you to what I have named the Female Erectile Network. So we're back to our bones. We're back to the pelvis. I left the pubes on just to orient you. And
I know where you're
get rid
at.
of those. Pardon me?
I know where you're at.
You
But
know,
I see like butt and I
yeah,
see like
exactly.
urethra. And what's the big opening?
Okay,
So is
so
that
what we
urethra
have
and vagina?
here
Oh,
is the
duh.
head of the clitoris.
Mm-hmm.
That's the urethral opening.
Got you.
That's the
Got
vaginal
you. Okay.
opening, and that's the anus.
That's
Now, if we were doing a longer class, I would talk a lot more about all of those parts. But we're just getting some tasty tidbits, so we're not going to go into a lot of detail. There's the external superficial muscles, that's the deeper layer of muscles. You can see how they're like sheets of muscles with holes for the holes. And
Wow.
now what we're seeing is a bunch of structures. This is most of the
There
stuff
it
that's
is.
left out of the books. A bunch of structures that are sandwiched in between the
Yep.
layers of the pelvic floor muscles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Underneath the red ones, on top of the yellow and orange.
Like there it is. It's like a
There
little
she is.
dragon. It's like a little insect dragon.
So that's the vaginal opening. Now, every other part I'm going to show you is made out of, say it with me, erectile tissue.
Erectile tissue.
Yes, ma'am, it is. So
It's made out of erectile tissue.
let me introduce you to the Female Erectile Network.
Oh my.
So, number one, the head of the clitoris.
There it is.
A lot of books will call this the clitoris as if it's the whole thing. It's not the whole thing. It's one part of a three-part structure. It's the most obvious part. It's the part apparently a lot of people have a hard time finding. I don't know why. Right
I don't know
there.
why. It's right there.
Never understood that. If you just looked, you'd find it. So the head of the clitoris is indeed made of erectile tissue. It is a fantastic structure. It's really special. There is no other structure in the male or female body that has that many nerve endings jam-packed into this little tiny structure. The most sensitive structure that we have. Next most sensitive structure, it's the tip of your tongue, which is why
Really?
the tip of the tongue and the head of the clitoris go together so well. Okay, but it's not the whole clitoris. Let's find the rest. Next, we have the shaft of the clitoris, which is underneath the hood. When we get to the pussy pillow, I'll show you in more detail how to find that. And in anatomy books, this is what they say is the equivalent of the penis. They say that the head or glands and the shaft or body or corpus is the female equivalent, the female body's equivalent of a penis. No. No, no, no.
Nay, nay.
So much more. Okay. Next, we have the legs of the clitoris. And the legs of the clitoris, I will show you again when we go onto the models. The legs of the clitoris follow the arch of the under the pubic bone, and they anchor the clitoris, and they're about 3 or 4 inches long. But there's more. Next, we
Mhm.
have the vestibular bulbs. Now, these are these big wads of erectile tissue. The bottom part is fat. It's kind of like an upside down comma. The bottom is fat, and it's on either side of the vaginal opening. Huh. It's almost as if Mother Nature wants us to fuck.
I mean,
I mean, maybe she'd like us to make babies, right? Whether we want to or not. Her template is about reproduction. And we've got erectile tissue structures right there in either side of the vaginal opening. And this is one of the things when I first discovered, when I went on, this was the first part that I heard about that I hadn't known. All right. So I already have all that training. I'm already a CNM, blah, 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 all those things. And I thought I was an expert at female genital anatomy, right? I've studied it 5 times. I'm this is what I do. And I come across this book called New View of a Woman's Body. And they talked about the vestibular bulbs. And my mouth dropped open. I was like, the what?
what the hell? The
What?
what?
I never heard of this. What are you talking about? I read it like 3 times. I looked at the picture and I went and I took my pants off and I got a light and a mirror and I checked it out. And
For
I
real? You
played,
can
yeah, and
see
I
them?
played with myself and I watched them puff up. They can get huge. It's like the Pillsbury Doughboy. They're just like poof, they
Oh
puff
my,
up. And I sat there looking in the mirror going, holy shit, how did I miss this? How did I not know? Well,
you're
there's a couple reasons I didn't know. One, I didn't know there was anything there that could get stimulated. So I wasn't playing with it. My partners didn't know
right.
they weren't playing with it. It wasn't in any of the books that I'd studied, extensively in all those years. The other thing about the female erectile network, which is essential to understand, is we can get aroused and orgasmic with just part of the network activated. So
Well,
I
yeah.
was I was getting turned on, I was
Right.
getting aroused, I was having orgasms, focusing on
But
stimulation of
imagine,
the head of the clitoris, right?
imagine going all the way.
Okay. So yeah, it was like singing and playing the guitar. It can sound amazing. But when you've got the rest of the band, oh yeah. When you've got a whole orchestra, oh baby.
Right.
Okay, so
Then,
the vestibular bulbs got me going.
then you're in love.
Well, then I went, wait a minute. If I didn't know this, and the books don't know this, what else are we missing?
Yeah.
And that started me on what I now call the hunt for buried pleasure.
Nice.
And that was a good
God
10
bless
or
you.
12 years figuring out all these different parts that we have
Figuring
and
out.
putting it
That
together.
was.
Not
I,
fingering it
I know,
out.
I know, but I have dyslexia hearing. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's right. I was
yeah, yeah,
figuring
yeah.
it out.
Yeah, fingering it out. Um, so the vestibular bulbs, also notice the top of the vestibular bulbs actually connects to the shaft of the clitoris. So they're separate
Yeah.
structures, but connected. All right, there's more. We're not done. So the next structure is the perineal sponge. This is a big wad of erectile tissue
What is
under the
that?
floor of the vagina. It's in between the vaginal and anal canals.
It's
And
like
it's
your other
inside a
G
little bit.
spot.
Hmm?
It's kind of like your other G spot.
You could think of it as your other G spot. You could think of it that way. Meanwhile, here's what people are calling the G spot, which is the urethral sponge, which is not a spot. And it was named after Dr. Grafenberg, who doesn't have one. So
Yeah.
we call it the urethral sponge. It's actually a tube of erectile tissue. We'll see it from another view that will make that more obvious. So the urethral sponge is what people call the bottom of it, or what people are calling the G spot. So that underneath there is what people are referring to the G spot, but it's more than just that spot. Okay,
God
let's look at it
bless.
from a 3/4 view with all the other structures. So there's the urethral opening, the urethra itself, which is our P tube. There's the bladder, the vaginal opening, the vaginal canal. At the back of it, we have the uterus. Then we've got the anus, the anal canal, and the rectum. So that's all the stuff we knew about. Now, the erectile network, the head of the clitoris, the shaft, and the legs, the vestibular bulbs, the perineal sponge. Look how it's tucked inside a little bit. It's protected in case we have some tearing when we give birth. It's tucked inside a little bit where it's safe. So now you can also see the urethral sponge, and how you can see it's like a tube of erectile tissue. It's like a roll of paper towels,
Yeah. Oh, haha.
right?
That's
The
funny.
urethra is the cardboard tube. And when it's not engorged, it's like you're at the end of the roll of paper towels. And when it is engorged, it's like a brand new roll of Bounty. And there's what people call the G-spot. Okay, so that is the female erectile network. Now, let's just take a look at the amazing, arousable, and gorgeable, expandable female erectile network. Okay, so here she is, not aroused, just minding her own business, just hanging out on the couch, reading a book.
Right.
It's a spicy book. Oh, it's a sexy book. She starts playing with herself, and here's what she might look like 45 minutes later. Okay, one more time.
You look like
Here she is, unengorged, and here she has
right.
a full
She's
on
happy now.
erection. It's a erection.
It's a her erection.
It's a
She's like,
her
oh,
erection. Um,
oh my God.
so here she's got sort of a hard on, she's got a hard around,
Right? Hard
right?
around.
Hard
That's
around.
really funny.
Okay. So
Oh my
there
God.
she is, and it's like it blooms open. Literally, when everything is engorged, the whole vulva blooms open. And
That's
so
true.
if we um looked at the circuits we make, right? So now we've got um um the circuit that includes the clitoral structures, the bulbs, and the perineal sponge. We have another circuit that includes the urethral sponge. So we've got these two overlapping,
Oh.
interlocking circuits. This is the whole band.
Ah.
This is when you're going to have the best arousal, the easiest arousal, the biggest, the best orgasms, and all the other expanded
Anything with that.
erotic abilities we can develop.
That's two hands.
Well, the thing is, if you really want to get this, you
Yeah.
got to get all those parts engorged.
Yeah.
And that's one of the keys. So now here she is, and we're looking at the view from the outside. And again, not aroused, not engorged. And here she is, fully engorged, fully aroused. And this is what I
Wow.
mean by the blooming open thing. And the changes are dramatic. The color changes are dramatic, right? I mean, it's like you go from, you get ripe, as it
Right,
were.
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so that's our little female anatomy thing. Now, normally I also talk about nerves, and I talk about the uterus, and I talk about other glands and lots more stuff, but just getting the mini version right now. But I did want to give you one more tasty tidbit, one more bit. And I decided female ejaculation would be the piece I would give you.
Perfect for my outfit.
So, well, first of all, is female ejaculation even real? Because I didn't even believe it was real, whatever, 30 years ago. It is real. Um, but like in Tantra, they call it Amrita, the nectar of life.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
considered a sacred medicine, which is awesome. But before I figured this out, I'd be going, to a Tantra class and I'd ask the teacher, but where does it come from? And they'd go, oh, it's a gift of the goddess. I'm like, yeah, yeah, but where does it come from?
Right. Is it pee? Right.
I
Yeah.
want anatomy. They had no idea. Okay. So I am going to tell you where it comes from.
Nice.
It is a gift from the goddess. That's true. But it also is a gift from our body. So we're back to our urethral sponge. And we can see the urethra, the tube that runs down the center. And remember, of course, the urethral sponge is made up of erectile tissue, right?
Hmm.
But it's not just erectile tissue. In fact, it's filled with these tiny tubular glands that form tubules. And these glands here are the paraurethral glands. And they've got little openings, about 20 or 30 of them. A duct is an opening. And there are two bigger ones just inside the opening of the urethra, or in some women just outside. And when I was studying midwifery and gynecology, I learned about those two openings. I learned nothing about the structure of the gland, nothing about the function. In fact, they said it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, right.
Because you know how Mother Nature is. She just threw extra stuff in that has no
Right.
purpose. No, no, I don't think so. So,
What?
um, there are actually all these openings along the length of the urethra. Now, why would that be?
That's for your squirty bits.
Well, what would be the physiological purpose of that fluid? Because here we have an opening that risks us getting a urinary tract infection, right? The
Right.
urethra, it's right there in Grand Central Station for bacteria. There's our bacteria and our partner's bacteria, and we rub it in, right? And so
Right.
almost all women have had urinary tract infections, some frequently.
Oh yeah.
But we've got this fluid produced by these glands that squirt into the urethra.
What?
I think the amrita, the ejaculate, is antimicrobial.
That makes so much sense.
I got no data. But let's look at
That makes
how
so
it's
much
formed.
sense.
We'll come back to that in a minute. So here's our engorged erectile capillaries, but they are enmeshed with those tubules. So remember our capillary. What was special about the capillary? Single cell wall. What's special about the tubule, the glandular tubule? Single cell wall. What happens when we get two single cell walls next to each other? Well, we've got our engorged capillary, which is filled with blood.
Yeah.
Blood is mostly made up of water. The water part of the blood diffuses through the membrane, enters the glandular tubule, and the glands produce something. What makes it a gland is that it produces some kind of proteins. So we get the water part of the blood mixing with the glandular substances. And where's it going to go? It's going to come out. Where's it going to come out? Well, it's going to squirt into the urethra and then come out the pee hole. And that is female
Wow.
ejaculation. Now, here's my theory about this. It's that we all make some fluid, whether we're making enough for it to be obvious or not, depends on how much stimulation we get to that erectile tissue and our level of arousal. And if we hold it in, where's it going to go? It's going to back up into the bladder and it'll just come out the next time we pee. So, female
Wow.
ejaculation. The source of that fluid is the paraurethral glands. And the reason that we can make so much is because we've got this big giant reservoir of fluid in our body, our circulatory system. So, what else do you need to know? It's learnable. I didn't learn how to do it until I was in my 40s. You don't have to learn, but I do suggest that you do because it does feel like a goddess experience.
Oh yeah. I've experienced it. It's
All
wild.
right. I'm
It's
going to hit a few
amazing.
high points, and then we're going to leave here, and I'm going to show you some things on my pussy pillow and my pelvis. But I just want to mention a few of the high points that we either talked about or we didn't really get a chance to, because this is the short version. But female bodies have as much erectile tissue as male bodies. It's a group of separate but connective structures, all made out of erectile tissue. We only need to get part of it activated to get turned on and have orgasms. But if you want the best, you want to use it all. It's sandwiched between the pelvic floor muscles, so you can actually stimulate your own erectile network by playing with your pelvic floor muscles. Oh, squeeze. Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so learning how to use those is one of the keys to having better sex. And we've got these multiple connected circuits that we create when every part is activated. And yeah, that's how we get the best pleasure when we get
And
it all
puffed.
going.
When it's pleasured and puffed, I love it.
All right. Now, we didn't really talk about this stuff, but we actually don't have a separate baby making system and a pleasure system and an attachment and bonding system. We have one integrated, overlapping, interlocking system. They're all connected. The bigger class, I talk about that.
I love
In
it.
fact, we've got all this interconnected pleasure equipment. Our breasts, our brains,
Mm-hmm.
we have erectile tissue in our lips, for example, all connected. And Again, we didn't talk about it in detail, but there's a lot of things we can learn. This is all learnable
Oh, we can
stuff.
keep coming back, Sherry.
Yeah, we can learn
But I'm
to
bummed.
develop orgasmic ability and even
Hmm.
mastery.
I love it.
Female ejaculation's learnable, how to have anal pleasure, self-care and hygiene, of course, and how we can really expand our arousal and our pleasure. All learnable stuff. And it's all connected.
For real.
All right, so I want to remind people about your home play assignment. You're going to check this all out.
Look at yourself.
If you need more guidance, look at the blogs, get the book, get one of the online courses, so you can get the support you need.
I love it.
Those are the books. I'll just also remind people
Whoa.
here that there are recorded classes and courses,
Yay.
blogs. I do consultations, a whole bunch of freebies on the website, and that's intimateartcenter.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I'm
I
going to
love it.
stop sharing, and we are going
Share you all over the place. I love
to
it.
go to
And then, and then there's the pillow.
and there's the pillow.
Please tell me you sell those. Please tell me you sell those.
She is the only one I've ever made. Sorry to say. Lovingly hand sewn
Oh my
at
God.
home birth. I made her when I was still a midwife.
I love it.
But there are some companies that make pussy puppets and other things. And I found someone in Etsy who has really reasonable priced ones. So if you're interested, go to Etsy and look. I think it's like vulva puppet or vulva.
Oh, awesome. I'll find it and link it on here.
I
real
have a link
quickly.
I can send you if you
Awesome.
want. Because there are some other people who make them, but they're quite pricey and they're beautiful, but they're expensive. But when I found the Etsy woman, I'm like, that's affordable. So people can get these. But anyway, this is my own beloved pussy pillow. So when you're doing your home play, things to notice. First, you got to look at everything. Look at the color, look at the position, look at how big it is. Yes, you have a question? What?
When I think of looking at yourself, just give me the facts, ma'am. Like, what do you need? Do you get one of those round mirrors that's got the lights on it? Do you try to get, I mean, where do you go
Okay.
in this
So
situation?
you can
Do you
use
hawk up on the,
you can use a magnifying mirror on a stand. If it's a lighted magnifying mirror, that's easier. But if you don't have a lighted mirror, you get a gooseneck lamp, you shine the light on the mirror, and then you just like
Oh,
put it on the floor and spread your legs in front of it.
all right.
If you are feeling like you want to be more high tech about it, record with your phone.
Oh, then sell it
Use-
later. I mean,
Use your,
shit.
well, you don't have to post it, but you can then you
Right.
can put it up on a monitor screen so you can see what you're doing.
Whoa.
Right?
Right.
So if you want to be
Okay.
high tech about it, right? Those options didn't exist when I first did this.
Right. You're going
I
deep
was
diving
a
right there.
gooseneck lamp and a
All
stand a
right.
mirror, a
Woo.
magnifying mirror does help though, because you
Okay.
want to see. Okay, so your first thing you're gonna look, you're not turned on, you haven't played with yourself, you're gonna look at everything. You're gonna look at the head of the clitoris. Do you have an innie or an outie? All normal, by the way. Some women, the hood completely covers it. Other women have very little tiny hood and the head sticks out. All normal. It might be one way at the beginning of the assignment. And then after you get turned on, it might be the other. It might be out, but then as you get aroused, it kind of hides. It might be hidden. And as you get aroused, it comes out. All normal, all normal. Okay, so the head of the clitoris. If you need to, you can pull the hood up a little bit to take a look. Look at that color. Now you also want to feel things. So you're going to feel how sensitive is it, right? Well, we all know it's pretty sensitive, but the sensitivity will change during arousal. So when you're not aroused at all, it's actually quite sensitive. And as we get more turned on, it actually can become less sensitive.
Interesting, because you're like,
Think about your
oh,
nipples. Think about that, right? Somebody walked up to you right now and pinched your nipple. What would your reaction be?
I have a PayPal. I'm just kidding.
Well, my reaction would be, ow, stop that.
Ow. Like,
Okay. Now imagine we're both really turned on
right.
and that same nipple pinch. Now we might be going, oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that
All
feels
right.
good.
Okay.
Right? Because during arousal, our pain and pleasure thresholds shift.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
So the same thing with the head of the clitoris. So something when you're not turned on at all can often feel really irritating
Or
and
you're like, you
unpleasant.
decide you don't like him anymore.
Huh? What?
I said, or you decide you don't like him anymore.
Yeah, well,
Like it's like happy, happy, and then you're like, eh,
yeah, well,
I
they need
lost it.
training. They need training. They don't have one.
I
They
lost
have
it.
no idea what to do with it unless we teach them. And that whole thing about the change in sensitivity is very confusing for them, right? They don't understand. They don't have anything like this. We need to teach them, but we need to know first. Okay, so we're looking at it, we're touching, we're playing. Okay, now you're going to go for the shaft, and that's going to be up here, right? So it's underneath here. You can go like this. You can make little circles on the shaft. You can go back and forth. It's erectile tissue, but it's not as super sensitive. This is actually a nice area to start playing with because you're not risking overstimulation and irritation. Start here, not here. So you feel the shaft. Now the legs. Remember we said the legs anchor the clitoris, right? So here's a pelvis. I happen to have an extra.
I love
And
it. Ah,
here's the legs, and they go like that,
yep.
right?
So
So they
you're
run
getting in
along
there.
this bone here and here. And what that means in terms of finding and feeling them is they're the hardest part to find and feel.
Right. It's more like,
So when you're not aroused at all, you're going to put your fingers right here where the base of the shaft is and feel on either side. And you know what you're probably going to feel? Nothing.
nothing.
When you're at level 3, when you're at stage 3 of your home play assignment and you're
Ah,
really turned on and you feel, that's when you're going to go, holy shit, there's something there. Oh, and that's fun to play with. For most women, they're not that palpable until we're already really engorged.
right.
Your mileage may vary. You're probably only going to feel the top part because they angle back this way, so they get buried underneath the tissue. So you're not going to be able to feel that bottom part. So that's the 3 parts of the clitoris. Next, we're going to check out those bulbs. And again, in a state of non-arousal, you're going to look and you're going to go, yeah, I just see my labia. There they are. There's the labia. But after you've played with them and rubbed them and squeezed them
Happy. It's the
and
opening.
held them and
Like,
given
tell
them
me
lots of
more.
attention, they're going to puff up. And they're going to puff up and they're going to get big. And they're going to get really big. And you're going to go,
Wow.
right? And so you can rub from the outside, right? You can squeeze them, you can hold them. You know when you're playing with somebody and they've got their thigh pressed up against your crotch,
Yeah.
the whole thigh, you know how that feels like really good?
Hot. Yeah.
That's because we're stimulating the bulbs,
Mm.
right? So that broad, diffused pressure and rubbing, they love that. So the bulbs, you can put a finger or two inside the vagina and the other finger on the outside and squeeze this way. And once they
Wait,
get big,
move it up a little bit. What'd you do?
finger inside,
Yeah, yeah.
finger outside, and you're
Oh.
squeezing the bulb. Ooh,
Oh.
oh, oh,
Yeah, there you go.
ooh, squeeze, rub.
Fellas, take you need to like pause, take notes.
It's on the book. So and the bulb, when it is big and puffy, you're really going to be impressed. And notice also what's it doing to the opening of the vagina. The bigger and puffier these get, the more they actually kind of close up the vagina a bit. They make it snugger. That
Interesting.
snug, elastic, puffy, stretchy cuff, the bulbs. Now, what
Puff.
happens if you are having penetration and the bulbs haven't gotten puffed up? Yeah, it's not going to feel that great.
It's
This
all
is why
right.
for many women, intercourse is not the best way to have orgasms. It's usually definitely not the best way to learn to have orgasms.
Mm.
But if we do have orgasms from intercourse, it's most likely when we're on top. Why? Because when we're on top,
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing is in
Yep.
contact, right?
Yes.
Because we're not doing this when we're on top, are we? I'm not.
Right.
We're doing
Yeah.
this and this. We're rolling and rocking and
Yeah.
grinding. And
Yeah.
that is stimulating the bulbs and the clitoral structures. We're
Oh yeah.
stimulating all of that. So just some tips, right? But literally, if you have penetration and it doesn't feel great, probably your bulbs are not puffed. It is what I like to call premature penetration, an
Premature.
epidemic of premature, well, maybe a pandemic of premature
Mm.
penetration,
Ha
right? Because if we especially if we partner with male-bodied people, right? Once they're hard, they think, I guess it's time to put it in, right? Yeah, can I put it in? Yeah, now. Okay, now. How about now? Right?
Right, yeah.
And lubrication, vaginal lubrication is a sign of early arousal. So just because you're wet doesn't mean you're ready for penetration. You're ready for penetration when you're at high level arousal, the whole state of consciousness, mind, body, and you're fully engorged. That's when penetration is going to feel awesome. And if you've got penetration prior to that, it can feel nice. Is that what you want? You want it to feel nice? No, you want it to feel amazing.
Right, that's
Not
true.
going to feel that way until everything's engorged.
Get it.
So let's talk about those inside parts a bit. So can you see here? See that? That's
Yeah.
the urethra.
Okay.
Now, remember how we talked about how the urethral sponge was like a roll of paper towels?
Uh-huh.
From the outside, look here. Do you see that there's like a raised ring of erectile tissue here?
Yeah.
You can play with that from the outside.
What? You
Yeah.
just touch all of it, is what you're
Hmm?
teaching us. Just touch all of it, is what you're showing us.
I am. So if you want to feel that from the inside, fingers in and up,
Yep.
in and up. Now, at step one of your home play, when you're not engorged, you're going to put your fingers in and you're going to, this doesn't feel so great. And I don't feel anything. It all feels like vagina in here. I don't know what she's talking about. Okay, take your fingers out, play around some more, play with your toys, get your oil, play with all the outside parts, get nice and juicy, and then put your fingers back in and feel. And now you're probably gonna go, oh, there's kind of a firm, squishy area up there. Oh, that feels kind of nice. Um, take your fingers out, play around a lot more, get high level arousal, almost orgasmic, go back inside, feel up on that above that roof there, and you're gonna go, whoa. Oh yeah, that really feels good in there. And that erectile tissue really likes firm rhythmic stimulation.
Oh yeah.
And you can be really,
Yeah.
really firm with it. Now, the erectile tissue in the floor, the perineal sponge, pretty much the same thing. If you're feeling it on yourself, thumb in, down. Thumb in, down. If you are open to it, you can put a finger in your ass,
And
finger in
then
the vagina,
press up.
finger in the ass, and you're going to be squeezing your fingers together. And when you
What?
do that, you'll feel a fat place in that wall. That's where the erectile tissue is. If you go
Wow.
further in, you'll feel thin. The wall between the vaginal canal and the anal canal is very, very thin, except where the erectile tissue is.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you're not into the putting your finger in your butt, you don't have to. You can still feel it
I
just as
love
well
anal
with your
personally.
thumb.
I said it out loud.
What'd you
Sorry.
say?
I said I love anal. I
I
said it
know,
out
me too.
loud.
But it's a you need to understand how to play with an asshole. I have a whole class about it. People don't understand. And there's this mythology that it's painful. If it's painful, you're doing it wrong. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So if you learn how to do it right, if you seduce the asshole, if you go at the asshole's speed, which is very, very slow, then you can have all this pleasure. Because actually, the anus is number 2 on the hit parade of nerve endings.
Yeah, it
Genitals,
is.
number 1. Anus, number 2. A lot of potential pleasure, but it should never hurt.
Right.
Never, ever, ever hurt. If it's hurting, you're not supposed to be like, oh, I'll just be brave and bear it. No, that's the wrong message to send your body. You're being a very bad guardian of your gates if you are allowing anyone in your ass and it isn't feeling awesome.
Yeah, no, no.
Little
What
tangent there.
not to do on Saturday?
No,
Sorry.
you know what? There's so
Oh,
many mythologies about
oh
anal pleasure.
God.
That's why I added a class years ago about that.
I love it.
Meanwhile, if you're not into putting your finger in your ass, don't. But just go in, push down. And again, when you're first feeling and you're not turned on, you're just gonna go, again, it feels like vagina. What's she talking about? And then high level arousal, you'd be like, oh, there's a whole big wad of erectile tissue down here. And now you can see how when that's all puffed up, you get these circuits. You get this cuff, you
Mm-hmm.
get that circuit,
Mm-hmm.
those overlapping,
Going like
interlocking
this.
circuits. Well, there's lots of fun things to do. Like this is a good one. 2 fingers in.
We met at a party. That's
This
the
is so
we
good.
met at a party move.
Yeah, is that what that is? I haven't named it, but I think we'll call it that from
Oh
now on.
my God, I love
We
it.
met at a party move. But look how many things you can stimulate all at the same time each way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
Or you
about.
can just, take turns, go from one to the other and back again. Depends if you're doing it, if you have a friend helping, you have a
I
friend
was
helping.
all of this in my head. I'm literally like, this puts a whole nother level to like, do you want to help me with my homework?
Oh, it sure does. You want to
Do
be
you
my lab
want to do my
partner?
homework? You want to
I
do
do.
homework together?
I do suggest for owners of this equipment, go on the tour by yourself the first time,
Yes.
and then take your partner or partners on the tour another time. And in fact, it's a great way to teach your partners all the equipment you have, which they
Mm-hmm.
probably don't know. And you also can do a little lesson in how you like to be pleasured because
Mm.
they didn't come with instructions printed on the inside of their skull.
It's true. And
It's
neither did they.
well, yeah, but let's be honest, figuring out how to work a penis is not that hard.
Not that hard.
I mean, how to do it really well, still not.
That's funny. I
I mean,
love penises.
honestly, um, figuring out how to pleasure female genitalia is a lot more complicated.
Yes.
And our cultural model of sex is a male-centered model. There's this whole porn model, and of course, with a lot of porn, you're not seeing any of the warm up, right? You're just seeing the main course. You're not seeing the hors d'oeuvres,
Yeah.
and people don't understand that for a lot of the porn they're seeing, the actress has been using a vibrator for 30 minutes before they even turn the cameras on, right?
She's ready.
They don't they,
Um,
don't- they don't show that part.
what I thought about with you showing how the woman on the top, also for people who have either small penis or rather large penis or
Yeah,
flaccid penis, that's also a great way to like ride the penis in different ways. Not that it's inside you, but like
yeah,
ride the balls too, like
yeah,
that you just use all of it.
yeah,
That's why I love that massage I told you about. Like use all
yeah,
your parts on all
yeah,
his parts.
yeah,
It's really great to find new spots to rub those parts
yeah,
on.
yeah. There's so much we can do with our bodies to give and receive pleasure. And I think a lot of people either fall into kind of porn patterns, especially
Hmm.
nowadays, where most people learn about having sex from watching porn. When I grew up, you didn't learn about sex from watching porn because there was none, right? Didn't exist. And so we were just kind of on our own figuring it out. And at some point, as the internet happened and porn became available, I remember at the time thinking, oh, this is going to help people have better sex because now they can see other people have sex. But you know what? They're usually seeing these kind of tropes, right?
Like you
Like
move to this
this,
position and then move to this position. Is that
and
what you
this
mean?
is how
Like
you
there's a
do it, and this is how you
framework and
touch it, and
blah. Right.
this is, then you have to pull out to ejaculate.
Yeah, exactly. And then you give head at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
So,
whole. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm with you.
So,
I'm into tantra. That's what I like. I like three
yeah.
to 7 hours. That's where we're going. You know.
Well, and I think it's important for people to understand. So I was teaching a class and I was talking about when I first learned to ejaculate, and I'd had a like 5 hour sex session.
Yeah, girl.
Well,
Get it.
I was younger, and anyway, the point is, the woman in the class goes, "Where on earth did you find a man that could stay hard for 5 hours?" And I went, "Oh, no, no, no. I did not mean he was hard for 5 hours or that we fucked for 5 hours. I meant that all of our play, all of our
Yeah.
erotic play
So much.
lasted for 5 hours. And yes, there was a hard penis at times, and there were times when there wasn't a hard penis, and that's okay because erections can come and go as your
Yes.
attention comes and goes.
I was sitting on his butt.
And, I
We
just
were doing
really
that.
had to help people understand that when you say sex, you don't mean fucking.
Right.
That's not all
It's a
there is.
whole journey. That's why I love that
Yeah.
massage. That's why I love
Yeah.
like just holding
Yeah.
each other and
Yeah.
like there's plus so many people are going to the porn compulsion instead uh
Yeah.
for connection
Yeah.
because they're feeling disconnected. So you get
Yeah.
like the little but it's like not really connection.
Yeah,
So,
it's a little, you get your hit of dopamine and it's easy and there's no performance anxiety. There's no expectations. There's no relationship to deal with. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's like fast food or something, you know? I
mm.
mean, yeah, you might want to eat it occasionally, but you really want to live on that? It's not healthy.
What do you think of cuddle corners? Have you heard of these things like cuddling,
Cuddle
like
parties?
like yeah, because
Yeah.
like there's cry rooms that started, then rage rooms, and now there's cuddling, and I was like,
So the
that's
cuddle
not
parties have been around for
forever.
since the 90s. Yeah. I think it's a lovely thing for people who don't know how to have platonic, friendly cuddling with their friends. So I lived in the kind of world where at a party, people would wind up in a puddle and cuddling and massaging each other. And
A
just, it
puddle.
wasn't sexual. It wasn't about having an orgy, but sometimes people who didn't know would think, uh-oh, when does the orgy start? I should leave now. Or they think, when does the orgy start? I should stay.
Right. They're like, nah,
But
seriously,
but
we're not
it
going
wasn't
there.
it wasn't that. It was just we were just being cuddly and giving massages and snuggling and I remember when the cuddle party thing started happening, some people I know in New York had started it actually. And I'm like, you mean you people pay you money?
I know. I
Me
know,
and my
right? It's
friends
like
just do it for free.
I did all that for
But
free.
but they did a great job. They still do. One of them is still involved in it. They do a great job. They talk communication and boundaries, and they create a safe space for platonic nurturing touch. And most people don't get that. And
That's why I bring it up because there's a
yeah,
lot of people who are desperate for touch and
yes,
then they'll go have sex for a
yeah,
hug.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? And it's like, well,
absolutely.
maybe you just need a hug. Hmm.
Yeah, and the idea that that you're going to get it from sex is also can be mistaken because a lot of people when they're having sex don't do any nurturing touch. So I have a
Right.
whole thing about touch. So I had a class I teach about touch or
I love
intensive
it.
workshop. And I created what I call the 4 languages of positive touch. We go off into all these tangents.
I love
So the
it.
four
Like,
languages of positive touch. There's nurturing touch. This is how you touch a baby. This is being rocked
hmm
and
hmm
held and patted, little angel kisses. This
hmm
is how you touch a
environment.
child.
Hmm
We are, I think, almost all of us starving for that.
Starving.
So there's nurturing touch, there's therapeutic touch. Oh, I have a headache. Somebody massages my head,
Mm.
right? There's all kinds of different ways that we use touch for healing. So there's therapeutic touch. Then there's sensual touch and sexual touch, and they are different. And when I would be
Okay.
teaching
That's
this, I would be sensual is about pleasuring the senses, sexual is about getting turned on. It was
right.
interesting to me when I would be teaching this, I would have men in the class go, I don't understand the difference between sensual and sexual touch. And you'd see they'd be with
Mhm.
their woman, and the woman would be like, oh God, yeah, he doesn't understand.
Obviously.
Yeah, I know he doesn't get that. So, so sensual touch can be combined or lead to sexual touch, but they're not the same thing. And I think that when we're having sex, a lot of people just have sexual touch and they're missing the sensual and they're missing, you can have therapeutic touch during sex, which is what you were talking about
Yeah.
last time, which was healing touch. And then you can also have nurturing touch. So there's something very like
Mm.
if you're sucking a cock and you stop for a moment and you just give some little angel kisses to that cock. Oh my God, that's going to melt his heart, right? Because now he's feeling loved and accepted and nurtured for this part of his body that he may have gotten a lot of shame around. So a lot of men feel shame around their penis. It's a different kind of shame, I think, than we have around our genitals, but it's a version of genital shame. And the same goes if you're going down on a woman, just stop for a moment, just give little angel kisses,
That's
or
true. I
just,
could see that would be like,
you know,
wow.
say loving,
You're
admiring
trying to get
things.
fed. You're trying to get it. You're trying to get a sandwich. Oh
So
God.
we're all hungry for it because
We're all,
most of
oh
us,
my God, speaking of when you mentioned the
yeah.
asshole and you said like we all, I'd have to tell you this joke. It happened to me in real life. I was sitting on a plane and I was talking about probably trauma or whatever. Like we all have something. We all are going through something, just like we all
Mhm.
have an asshole. I mean, like we
Yeah.
get. And the guy next to me, he goes, You know, I'm actually really offended because I was born without an asshole. What are the chances? And I was like, tell me more. Is that a thing? And he goes, yeah, that's a thing. And I was born with that asshole. They had to make an asshole. So not everybody does have an asshole. So he
Well,
probably
this
shouldn't say that. And I was like, oh, well, now I'm the asshole.
well, it's a really important thing to remember that we need to say the vast majority of humans have one. And if you live somewhere where prior to, where there's no surgery or before surgery was invented, then you wouldn't have lived anyway. So you could say, sort of for most of human history and for most of the world, everyone
Whew.
alive has an asshole.
So good. So
But
good.
it's when I talk about vulvas and I talk about how everybody's got the same parts, but they look different. And like, it's just like faces, everybody's got the same parts. And at a certain point, I started saying, almost everybody has the same parts because there are a few people who are born with some kind of facial deformity and they don't have all the same face parts.
Right. That's true.
But almost everybody, pretty much. I mean, we could say like 99.999% of people have an asshole.
Because it's like can't say nothing anymore at all.
Well, let's just say you're never going to manage to not offend somebody.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say vagina, vagina, vagina. When I went
I'm
into,
going to say vulva, vulva,
well,
vulva,
yeah, that's the
because that's one of my
vulva,
pet peeves.
right? That's true. Vulva,
People
vagina, because you're
calling
like
it a
vagina
vagina and
is the
everything. You're
thing.
talking about the vulva, honey.
The, that's true,
Pet peeves. Um, However, just if people are talking about genitals, I'm happy. So however
right?
they talk about them.
I mean, for real, and like how they get better, and how to take care of them, and how to love them, and how to not
Yeah.
cut them off and hate
Oh,
them. Like
oh
this
dear.
whole hatred of your body. I'm like, dang. Uh, I'm gonna just go out on a limb here. Every time I see that, just like I've never met somebody who has fibromyalgia, and I've never met somebody who's like yelling about this stuff, who was not also a victim of child sexual abuse.
I have fibromyalgia. I was not a victim of child sexual abuse.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
You're the very first person.
Yeah. I've got all kinds of fucked up health things, but I was not abused as a child.
Fibromyalgia. Are you really sure?
That it's fibromyalgia that I have,
Either
or
one.
that I was never abused.
Because
I'm sure I was never abused.
that's cool. But I'm like,
I mean, look, we all have our, you know, teenage weird coercive sex experiences, which we weren't like
I
totally
know,
on board
seriously.
for,
There's plenty.
or harassment shit or, stuff like that.
But I have seen total turnaround with fibromyalgia. So I just say that for you. I just see it. There's a chance for it just to go away.
Well, actually, my fibromyalgia
I'm
is
just like,
mostly is I've got all these different health things, and who
I
knows how
love it.
they're all connected. And fibromyalgia is what I call a garbage can diagnosis, which means we don't know what it is. It's a syndrome with all these different symptoms, and I don't think everybody who has it has the same root cause or causes. I do think it's multifactorial, and you could say, no, you don't have fibromyalgia, you've got chronic fatigue syndrome, or, you could call it
Hmm.
all these different things. Oh, no, you don't have
Yeah.
fibromyalgia, you just have chronic muscle spasm pain.
Hmm.
Whatever, call it whatever you want. But I do think there's a lot of variety. And so I would say that I think there are certain health conditions where it is common to have a history of sexual
Hmm.
trauma, is what
True.
I would say.
Would also say that a lot of this chronic stuff can be miraculously healed, and you don't like it's like a health thing, it's a prayer thing, it's like an aha thing, it's a missing mineral, like it's I've just seen it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just you never know.
Well, I'm
I've
working on it
seen it,
and I've improved a lot of things and I'm
and
on the
I'm
path
like,
to improving more.
Amen. Full pain
So I
free.
don't get the muscle pain anymore.
That's
The
good.
muscle spasm thing has been remedied.
That's good.
That is really good.
That's
But
very good.
we've still got some other things to clear up. I'm working on it.
Hey, hey, I
And I
see
got
all this.
awesome people to work with.
I love it. I see total healing.
Yes, from your mouth to
I see it. It
the
happening.
goddess's
Amen. I
ears.
see it already. I got goosies at the top of my head. Saying,
Nice. All right.
well, thank you for letting me,
any other pussy information you require?
inspiring. Thank you for inspiring me to explore my homework.
Have
It's
fun.
really powerful. And you know
Yeah.
what? You know what? I've had these workshops before, and women don't do it. So
Well,
I'm
some
like,
do.
this is like, listen, you got to actually do it, do the homework, and like, and it's
Hmm.
fun. And then involving somebody else in it too is also really fun.
If you're really not going to do it alone, but you would do it with a partner, do it with a partner. Do it in stages if it feels too overwhelming. Do just a little bit. Just next time you're playing with yourself, take a little look, take a feel. Do it whatever way is going to work for you. And I will say that I know there are certainly people who went to the class and didn't do it, but I've gotten a lot of reports from people who have.
Yeah, and then
Because
everything
I would
changes,
ask people,
right?
I'd say, send me an email and give me, let me know how it went. And I would have people send me that email. So
And then when they did, how
yeah.
did it change when they started looking? How did it really affect their life after?
Well, I don't know. I haven't done a study of it, but usually they were very positive and enthusiastic about having learned. Or I remember seeing this woman who'd been in a class, and I was teaching somewhere, and she comes. We're at a college, that's where we were, and she comes running up to me. I was there to teach again. She goes, and she's running out of the hall. She's going, "I learned to female ejaculate." And everyone's like looking at her.
Ah! You're there.
Way to
Good
go.
for you. I'm happy.
Right. So yeah, so I get lots of feedback. I've even gotten emails from women who'd never come to one of my classes, but were partnered with a man who was such a great lover that they would say to the man, "How did you become such a great lover? How did you learn all this?" And he goes, "Oh, I went to this class with this woman."
Nice.
And their female partner at the was so um
They love you.
pleased
Yeah.
pleased by their skill that they sent me, a stranger, an email saying,
I,
"Thank you for teaching him."
I have got same. I've gotten
Yeah.
that from teaching
Right.
women how to give head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. You get like a thank you card.
Yeah.
I love it. It is so. I appreciate you.
I'll say one other thing,
Tell
which is
me.
I have known women also, and speaking on the trauma issue for one moment, I've known
Yeah.
women who had just horrible, heartrending trauma,
Yeah.
and who have gone through this journey and come out just absolute sexual goddesses,
Oh, see,
so
thank
in
you.
touch with their body and their pleasure.
Thank
And
you.
so, anyone who might be listening who's feeling like, I'm never going to heal from that, I'm never going to have this kind of pleasure, I'm never going to love my body, all of this, I'm broken, it's irrevocable, all of those thoughts, just let it go. It's just not true. I've known way, way, way many people who are just shiny and healthy and whole, have come out on the other side.
Yes.
So
I love that. The amen. And so
yeah,
it
don't,
is. And it's
you're
just you
not
let it
broken.
go.
You are not irrevocably broken. Anything you have, you can heal, and you can have all this pleasure. It's there for you. You can get it. You can have it. Really.
And so many times it's connected to what somebody said.
Yeah, well,
You know,
it's
it's like,
powerful.
whoa, just like, let's just take that out of your brain and take it away. Like, whatever they said. It was nasty or ugly or smelled or whatever was said. Or, just like
Yeah,
boobs are the same. Your boobs
yeah,
are too small. Whatever.
whatever. Yeah, we can reprogram.
It's like,
And now you can have beautiful, loving, affirming words going in your brain. Yeah. You just have to learn to reprogram. It's a radio station. I call it Radio Fuck You.
I love it. That's how
Radio
mine
FU.
has
Those are the
been.
call letters.
That's
Radio FU.
fuck you.
Okay, so we can change the station and have Radio Yes You.
Yes,
Yes,
you
you.
instead of fuck you. That's cool. That's good because I've definitely had that.
We all have.
Like that negative.
Oh yeah, we all have that voice.
Yep. So
Yep.
it's like, oh my God.
We
And
don't, we don't have to
full
live listening.
circle.
We don't have to live listening to that bitch.
Full that asshole.
Okay. No, I don't use asshole as I try not to use asshole as an insult. It's hard
Oh, I
sometimes.
never do anymore because you
I
never
know, but
know. Somebody.
sometimes somebody is just it's just the word wants to come out. And
Oh
I tried
my
replacing it with hemorrhoid.
God. But then you
This
insulted
is
the
such a
hemorrhoid.
hemorrhoid.
And then they're like, I'm sorry, I'm offended because I have hemorrhoids.
You're right.
I'm like, oh my God. My favorite lately was like, you cannot share your opinion if it hurts my feelings. I'm like, what?
I'm
I'm like,
so
have you seen
sorry.
my comedy?
I'm so sorry that you are so fragile that you can't take a joke.
I'm like, What? Oh, so okay. I should just do comedy now then. That's what that means.
Oh, that's not going to save you.
That doesn't
Comedians.
just go deep into it. Just like,
Yeah.
you know what? If
Yeah.
just go deep into it.
Okay. Well, so sometimes I call what I do when I'm teaching is stand-up sex ed.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Stand-up sex
exactly
ed.
it. Well, I
So,
can't wait. I can't
so
wait to do stand up and just keep doing what I'm doing and then share
yeah.
your stuff so you can sit there and feel
Uh,
awesome and get healthy and get loved by your husband. And I'm just going to revitalize and share all your stuff constantly
awesome.
because I love you.
I love you.
And
You're
I'm
awesome.
gonna do a game where I just open it anywhere and read it.
Okay.
Oh.
Would you open to? Assholes?
the
What'd you get?
the perennials, the map.
Oh yeah, that's one of the best images. There it
That's
is. It's
awesome.
right there.
There it is.
Those are
You got
those
this.
and that one. So the drawings are my drawings, by the way. Did you know that?
Shut the front door.
No, I'm an artist. Those are my drawings.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, baby. I'm an artist. That's one of the
What?
things I do is I make art. Oh
Yo.
yeah. I
That's
am
amazing. Holy cow.
I am a
Do you
um
two know each other? You
what?
need Amara Charles?
I think we met at some point.
Her stuff is
I
so
know
good.
her. I know that I know her, but if you
Yeah.
ask me where we met or when,
Like
I would be
y'all
unable to
are
tell you.
I
But
should
yeah,
do one where both of you could enter
oh, that would
because
be fun.
these are my books right here.
Yeah, that would be fun.
And then my own book
Uh-huh.
with how I got over all the not really flashbacks but more being disassociated during
Uh-huh.
sex. That's my
Yeah.
book contribution.
That's what happens. That's the common response. Here.
Yeah. Whoa. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it.
I
What are
have
you doing? Painting or pen or how are you oil like
these
what's
are
brushes?
I
What are you
start
doing?
with I draw the black and white and then I color them with um colored pencils, markers,
I
occasionally
love
gel
it.
pens,
Are
and
you making greeting cards out of those?
I'm not doing anything with them right
Whoa, those are
now other
cool.
than drawing them.
I'm
And I'm
just having fun. Leave
trying
me alone.
trying to start posting them on Instagram.
I love it. That's cool.
So,
And it's so
but
therapeutic too.
this is my therapy.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
This is it. This is my therapy.
That's cool. Ooh,
You know,
nice.
yeah. So this is what I do
I
because
love it.
I spend a lot of time lying down. And this is a thing I could do right
Pillow
now.
princess.
Pardon me?
I said pillow princess.
My pillow princess. That's what I am. I'm a pillow princess.
Just lay back and enjoy it, darling.
Right? If I got to be lying down all day, most days, for many hours anyway, I'm actually doing a lot better. I'm able to sit up for hours now. I could do this.
Awesome. Hey,
It's
hey,
good.
I've seen total healing and I got out of a wheelchair and out of chronic pain. So I'm like, I see it, I say it, I demand right now, declare total healing and no pain from your body. I don't know how it happens. I only know that it happens and you're completely fulfilled.
I believe.
Amen.
I'm a believer.
Whoosh.
All right. We could talk for hours. We have to
I
stop.
know it. I love you. You're amazing.
You
Thank
too.
you.
You're awesome.
I'm gonna do one with you and Amara. I'm gonna be like, listen, let's play. Bye. Bye. Thank you. I'm gonna go look at my parts.